Hello, good evening, I'm Oral Gibbs, and welcome to Oral Gibbs Live, coming to you live here from Oral Star Studios at Amsterdam Shopping Center. And with me this evening, the last time he was here a long, long time ago. So many, many years, but now he's finally back. None other than Mr. Reginald Williamsberg. How are you doing, sir?
Very good. Thank you very much.
That's good.
I want to wish all your listeners on the radio and the TV viewers a very prosperous and healthy year 2015.
Well, thanks and all the best to you and your family. The only thing is, we're only on television now.
Oh, okay.
Not like those days.
So long ago.
I mean, it's good to have you here in the program because there's the S. It used to be called the
VB.
Now it's changed.
Yes. Now it's SZV.
All right. So, but everything's still possibly the same, basically. Yeah, you're all in the big building.
Now we expanded because before we only used to be focused on the private. In the private sector, people work in the private sector mainly, especially for the health insurance part. But since 10, we merged with the then BZV, and became one entity. So SVB and BZV merged, and basically what the name means is social and health insurances, because before it was social insurance bank. Now it's executing agency for social and health insurances, St. Martin.
So now you have workers who are insured SZV, right?
Correct.
Now, if I'm working for a company, can I come in and also purchase health insurance?
No, that is not possible because we are not that kind of insurance company. If you want to get insurance by privately, then you would have to go to one of the private insurances out there. They have many, Nagico, Enya, ING, Sagicor, you name it, Pan American Health. You go there and you could get your insurance. But our insurances that we execute are mandatory by law. For example, the health insurance, it states that everyone that has an income below a wage limit that is set by law, and they work 5 or 6 days a week at least, so at least 5 days and 6 days a week, then they would be insured for the sickness insurance. Though in that case, you don't have a choice. So say, oh, I don't want to be on the SZV, although you qualify for it. No, you don't have a choice to say that, because if you want it or not, you're going to get it. Because the employer is obliged by law to pay your premium. You have to pay your premium, and you make use of it. And one of the, since 1996, we also insured family members. So in principle, once you as an employee qualify for the health insurance, the ZV as we call it, then you and your family who are residents of St. Martin, legal residents of St. Martin, would qualify. Since 10, as I stated, we merged with BZV, and we also now execute the health insurances for government workers or those equal to them, teachers, and so on. And also the FZOG, which we call the fund for sickness fund for pensioners, ex-government pensioners. So those three we execute. As well, we execute the AVBZ, is the chronic illness, special chronic illness insurance, which for things that are not long-term or chronic illnesses that are usually not insurable, that then those qualify for it.
So how does a person qualify for that one?
Well, the law states that all residents of St. Martin fall under the AVBZ.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, the income limit is quite high. It's 300,000 guilders per year. So that means everybody falls under it.
Wow.
So, but in the past, because it was being executed by entity in Curacao, the BZV, a lot of times persons were not able to, because of not having enough qualified staff locally here, or just because of not knowing, a lot of people who were entitled to certain things just didn't get it, or couldn't even get to the point to even applying for it. As a matter of fact, when we took it over in 2010, we found a backlog of requests that were not even dealt with. So within the first year that we took it over, one of the things we had to do is clean up the backlog. And what are we talking about? Like persons who need a wheelchair, persons who need walking, what do you call the racks, the 4 feet, and persons who need adaptations at the home. So because they're in a wheelchair and they need special attachments in their bathroom.
So you fit out the bathroom and everything?
Yes, so we fit them specially for those cases. So once the application is done, and but of course, for you to qualify for it, you have to go through the procedure of your treating physician would have to refer you through, and in this case, we send you to the state, to an ergotherapist or to a revalidation doctor, rehab doctor, which then would indicate what is needed to assist you, be it a wheelchair or adaptation or at the house.
If your income is less than 300,000 guilders a year, you qualify, you said, right?
No, everyone qualifies.
Everybody qualifies.
The maximum, the wage or the income limit is for the threshold for premium. So if it's whatever you have above that, you don't have to pay a premium over it. But any income below that.
Oh.
So as I said, very few people fall into that category of above. So so basically, I think 90%, 95% of the persons have to pay below that threshold, and the other 5% maybe they also they pay, but up to the maximum.
But you know, Ms. Willisberg, I know a lot of people are not aware of it, and there was a time when it was even government wasn't aware of how much money was there, etc. Is it all organized, regulated now?
Yes, it's better organized now. We have the different funds. Like I said, we have different funds that we execute, and the ones that I mentioned were the health insurances. But we also have the AOV funds, the old age pension fund. We have the widows and orphans funds, and also the Cesantia fund. And all of these funds do have the reserves and the funds. We collect the premiums, and now we have a better idea. As a matter of fact, we can report at any time as to what the financial status is of each fund, which in the past it was like trying to pull tooth from a person to get the information from those who used to execute those funds. Now we have to report on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we are one of the few independent entities that executes laws for the government that have been able to present our financial reports for the last 3 years up to 2013. We have been maybe not always on time, but we have been able to every year present our financial report. As a matter of fact, 2013 we did present it on time. We had to present it to the minister by the 30th of June, which we did. We are focusing right now on the financial reports for 2014, which we want to finalize, and also, if possible, before the deadline of the 30th of June. So basically, we have all these funds. Some of them are healthy, others are less healthy, like the AOV funds. The RWA funds, they are quite healthy. Those are the funds that are the strongest financially.
For people who don't understand these funds, can you?
That's the AOV is the old age insurance fund, and the widows and orphans. RWA is the widows and orphans fund.
So those are healthy.
Yeah, those two funds are healthy because St. Maarten has quite a young population and migrant population. So we still are at a threshold right now that we still have time that we can arrange that we do not get in the same situation like our sister country, Curacao, they had to take some drastic or draconian measures for them to be able to save the fund. And we're at a stage right now that we are looking at the future to see how we can take the necessary steps to ensure that these funds remain healthy. When you look at the AVBZ fund, the chronic illness, the special chronic illness fund, it's also a healthy fund because every year we still have getting surpluses. But one thing we've noticed since we took over, because of people becoming more aware of their rights and what they can get or not from the fund, and we promote it also, we noticed that the expenses have been going out slowly but surely. They're creeping up, and that means that the surpluses that we have slowly but surely is also becoming less. Okay. But we have to continue being creative to ensure that these funds remain sustainable. The other funds, the FZG fund, the ZV funds, which is the sickness fund, the FZG is the one for the ex-civil servants, and the accident insurance fund. These funds are less healthy. As a matter of fact, at this moment, I could say that up to 2013, the fund, and even for 2014, we project that we are going to have deficits. If you compare what you collect and what you pay out, that the money that we collect was not enough to cover all the costs. So and that is quite it really has us is a serious concern of us that steps have to be taken to ensure that measures are taken to fix the liquidity problem of the fund. Because the other funds are healthy, we have been able up to now to be able to finance the deficits of the other funds, which one of the issues that we have is that legally we have to be careful what we're doing because these funds, you're not supposed to be mixing them with each other. But at a certain moment, you have to take some hard choices. And that's why every time we notify government that, listen, we are busy doing something that is not appropriate. And so steps need to be taken so that we can ensure that these funds can become healthy.
What kind of steps you think will be necessary?
Well, one of them, and one of them is already in Parliament, is I believe that the age limit has to be increased with regards to the pensionable age from 60 to 62. That is already in Parliament for a while now, and I believe that it has to be done as soon as possible because once that is adapted, then you have the situation also that when it comes that people in principle can work longer, and you don't have the fund, you extend the period before a person entitled to pension. So instead of 60 to 62. And as you know, right now, people, we used to think that these funds were calculated that persons would live maximum 70 years old at that, when we introduced these laws. What we see now that people are living 75, 80. We had the last few weeks. I know some people personally who have family who have reached the age of 90. So when young people say that, oh, they ain't worrying about pension or those kind of things because I'll never reach the age, the chances are very remote that you will not reach the age. As a matter of fact, the chances of us reaching those ages, God forbid anything bad happening, but in principle, when you look how many people reaching, surpassing the age of 70, it is quite surprising. And that is why as a matter of fact, our proposal was to increase the age from 60 to 65 over a 10-year period. I think politically that might be a little ticklish because the fund is healthy. It was determined at this moment we're not going to go to 65. Or even talk about it. Let's go to 62, so we extend it. And once we do that, we will evaluate the next 4 or 5 years to see if increasing the age is necessary. I think it's a case of postponing the execution, because if you look through the world, everywhere they are increasing the age. From where you see Holland, they went from 65, they are 67 now. Curacao, they went from 60 to 65 from 1 year to the other. Aruba is also looking at extending it. Other countries in the States, 65 is a pensionable age. They are also looking at increasing the age there. And if you look around, we are the only one of the few countries that still are at 60. And we have to look at it, except, okay, let me make the correct comparison. Countries that have a lower age are third world countries, where the chances of you reaching 50 is very remote.
Right.
Because it's a situation, the financial situation, economic situation, the health situation, and those things, you have the situation that people might not reach the age. And even those countries, slowly but surely, are increasing their age, where it used to be 50, it went to 55, and they gone to 60. So slowly but surely, they are also increasing the age.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Williamsburg, because sometimes people call here and they're angry, and they get angry with the SVB. I get angry with the SVB because they want to know, when is the pension going to be paid? Some people say, well, the pension is being paid by the first of the month instead of 2 or 3 days before the end of the month. Is that problem fixed now? Or?
Okay. Look, if we go strictly according to what the law states, specifically, the pension has to be paid on the first work day of the month.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Because of becoming more electronically savvy, our pensions are calculated at an early date, so our close-off dates are quite early. And once you send the payroll to the banks, most of the banks try to pay within 1 or 2 days that they receive the payroll. For example, if we send the payroll on the 27th or the 28th to the banks, some banks will pay on the 29th, which means they're paying before what legally is stated. And that's why I smile when people say that, oh, we're paying the pension late. No, we're paying the pension. We've been paying consistently since 10-10-10. Not since 10-10-10. Since September 2011, that is when we took over the full authority of pension and all the operations with regards to pension locally here, because before that it was done on our behalf by Curacao. But since September 2011, we have consistently paid the pension before the end of the month. That means, so when people say that, and in the past, they used to get paid the second, the third, the fourth through the bank. Now they're being paid before. The only place that they pay them after the first is at the post office. The post office used to be the main payout office for us, but through a lot of the logistical problems, that if you don't collect a particular month, it took 2 months to 3 months before you get the month back. So that's why in 2005 we started promoting people opening bank accounts so that their monies go directly to the bank. So if you're off island or whatever, wherever you get it, you could still get your money and you can swipe wherever you are. Based on that, the pension list from the pension went from 2,000 persons, and right now the payroll for the post office is around 200 persons maximum. And these are die-hard persons that do not want to go to the bank. They still want to go to the post office, but that also has its implication with it, because the post office, they have their procedures to work out, and it takes them longer for them before they could start paying. So when the banks have paid the 29th, 30th, 31st, or even the first of the month, post office, through these extra procedures, maybe start paying the 4th or the 5th. And that is not a fault of the SZV. That is the logistical problem. And that's why we keep telling people, as a matter of fact, all persons, all new pensioners, they don't have a choice. They can't choose post office. They have to give us a bank account. If you don't have a bank account, we'll give you a statement that you can go to the bank to open a bank, so then the bank knows, the central bank regulation that you have to have some kind of proof why or where your money is coming from.
Okay. So I have so many things to ask you, Mr. Williams-Bragg, so don't feel bad if I'm rushing through. Referrals is a big one. Mm-hmm. I get a lot of people coming to me all the time saying, look, I can't get to leave St. Martin. I need to go abroad to see a specialist, but SZV is moving very slow. What's the policy on referrals?
Okay, first of all, the policy on referral is that, in principle, anything that can be done here.
Referral abroad, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, everything that can be done here will be done here. If a particular treatment can be performed here, we are not going to send you away to do that, to take that treatment. And how does it start? Your treating physician has to put in a request. As a matter of fact, last year, we introduced a system where through electronic means, we have a website, a web portal, that the physicians, the GPs, the specialists, they log on and they will put in a request for a person to be referred. Because the referral don't start at the SZV, it starts by the treating physician, be it a GP or a specialist. Once we receive it, and then the referring physician, as we call them, they have to state why, what the diagnosis is, why they think the person have to be sent away. And in most cases, it is determined, yes, the person can be sent away, and then the process is started. We notify them, yes, we received your request, and we are going to get back to you once a decision is taken. Then it takes a few days for a decision to be taken because one of our doctors have to approve it. Once it's approved or rejected, because that could happen also, once it's approved or rejected, you'll be notified. And we will determine then, in some cases, the doctors can state, listen, I want the patient to go to Curacao or Colombia, whatever. But in principle, we determine where the best place is for a patient to be sent away to.
Is that based on cost?
It's a combination of factors. It's a combination of quality and affordability. Mm-hmm. But that something is too expensive, just being expensive is not a reason not to send away a person. If it cannot be done here, we will send you away. But then we're going to look also at, first of all, the quality, and then we look at affordability. For example, we do not send anyone to the States. And one of the reasons for that is about affordability. Colombia, we send persons to Colombia, Curacao, Aruba, Dominican Republic, and because even when one of those countries are expensive, when you say expensive compared to the States, you're still talking about 50% of whatever it might cost in the States. Once it's approved and we determine where you will be going, then you will be notified. We call you in, get an intake a meeting so that ask you if you need, we need your passport, we need to make sure that you have a passport. If it's determined that there's a medical indication that you need to have a companion, that also will determine. Because a lot of time people say, yeah, but I want to go with someone. It's not I want to go with someone. If there's a medical need, let's say, and most times when a person, we are sure beforehand in advance that the person is going to be operated on, then automatically we will send you with
when the surgery
person. Yes. But if you're just going for a control, just now say check up to determine if anything has to happen, yes or no, we will send you a loan. And while there, let's say in Colombia, and then while in Colombia they determine, listen, you have to do an operation within the next 2-3 days, then we will send the person that you have appointed to be your companion. We will then send the persons to meet you so that you have someone that then at least to be aware. Because when it comes to surgeries, you need, other than just have someone to go do some errands for you, you also need a person that have to take those difficult decisions that they have to take.
What about, French St. Martin's? It's just a drive across the border. But I understood from some people that the SLV feels that the cost to refer patients across the French St. Martin is more expensive than going to Colombia, Curacao, Aruba, or the Dominican Republic. Is that true?
In some cases, it is true. And like I said, just the cost alone is not a reason for us to say, listen, we're not going to send you. At the French side, you have a situation of the language barrier. Although you would like to believe that we all speak English here, once you go to the French side, most of the doctors, a few of them can speak a little bit of English, but most of them, their English is very minimal, if non-existent. And another thing that we have determined also that when they say, yeah, you go to the French side, you're not really going to the French side because a lot of things, the same thing that a lot of treatments cannot be done on the Dutch side, a lot of treatments cannot be done on the French side. So what happened, that means you have to be sent abroad. When you go to the French side, the control that we have on the Dutch side, we don't have it on the French side. So all of a sudden, the French doctor who doesn't know anything else other than Guadeloupe, Martinique, or Paris, they will send you there, no matter what the case, which is understandable because that's the only reference you have. And that's where we come in and say, listen, if you go on the French side and it's determined that you have to be sent away, then you have to pass it back on to St. Martin Medical Center so we can take over and send the patient away. Because if on the French side you have issues with English, can you imagine when you reach Guadeloupe and Martinique, where you don't have half of the country speaks English and the other half French? There, everybody speaks French alone. And we have, the experience we have, we do not get any documentation in a language that we understand. And maybe one or two of my staff may understand French, but coincidentally, none of those persons are doctors, so they can't be reading medical documentation. So it is a problem also when assessing this situation as to how to proceed further. It's quite cumbersome. Spanish, we are better with that, English, and even to the Spanish country we send, the reports, we ask them to translate the reports in English, so that, but we still ask to get both the Spanish and the English, because then we could verify, because sometimes in the Spanglish something get lost.
The St. Martin Medical Center and the tariffs, there's a lot of issues there, and sometimes I hear that, well, it's the SLV that is the problem with the tariff. What's the issue there?
Look, first of all, the SLV does not set tariffs. Tariffs are set by government.
But you all advise government, right?
We advise government, but ultimately government decides. And as we have learned through many years now, it's not always that government follows advice that is given. They can decide contrary to what we advise. With regards to the St. Martin Center, they have a combination of factors. One is that in the past, they used to be considered as a peripheral hospital. Since 10-10-10, that has been resolved. They're not a considered peripheral hospital anymore, no longer, and they are our general hospital. And based on that, the minister at that time, our ex-minister, had decided that for all new medical intervention, new specialism that the hospital introduces, they will be paid according to the tariff of CEHOS in Curacao.
And was that done?
And yes, we have for those facilities, for those specialties that they didn't have before, for example, cardiology, which we didn't have in St. Martin before, when what we pay are the new tariffs that has been established. For the other specialties or treatments that were already known in St. Martin, those we have what we call a budget agreement. And the budget agreement is not based on the tariff, because if we would apply the tariffs that have been established for St. Martin Medical Center, then it wouldn't be enough. So based on that, a formula was determined in 2004 by the SRB, the Government Accounting Bureau, or the foundation. They came up with a solution when Omaira Leiflang was the Minister of Health, which based on that formula, then a budget is set for the St. Martin Medical Center. So because really and truly, if we would have to apply the tariffs that are stated in law, the hospital would not be able to survive at all.
But that time was the former Nelson Tillis. We're now 2015. Do you think it's time to review that tariff?
Yes, it's time. It would be time to review, but there's so many things happening at the same time. And as I stated before, government is the one that have to establish the tariffs. And the process to reach to that, up to today, we had a meeting with one of the government department. It was all again repeated that the process for changing a law, a legislation, and especially if it had to go to Parliament, takes a minimum of 40 weeks. So, and that is a minimum.
That's almost a year, man.
It can be longer also. Okay.
Yeah.
So based on that, it's not an easy way. And look, the hospital can say and understand their situation, but they can say whatever they want. But when you say that you want the tariffs to be increased, you have to come with proof. You come with documented proof. And when you hear that, and you have to do your utmost to be efficient also, because you can also say, yes, and I want to increase the tariffs, but I'll continue doing business the same as I've been doing for the last 20 years. Now, that defeats the purpose, because when we increase the tariffs, within the next few years, we'll be there talking about increasing the tariffs again. Because if you don't take certain measures. And, Aral, as you know, government situation is not the healthiest. We hear it right now. They're dealing with the budget, and you know, you've been hearing all the stories how bad the situation is for government. And one of the things, government also stands guarantee for shortfalls that the SZV may have. Now you could understand that if government agrees for tariffs to go up, that means the cost for the SZV also goes up. And as I stated before, the ZV, FZG, and the other sickness funds, with exception of AVBZ, have a deficit already. So basically that means you're going to increase the deficit that we have. Now, in the private sector, when insurance premium is not enough, you know what happens? They increase the premium. The law states that the premiums for example, the ZV should be reviewed every 3 years. The last time it was reviewed and increased was 1996. So we're talking that since 1996, the premium has not changed. The only thing that has been changing consistently is the wage limit. But if the salaries remain the same, for example, it doesn't have an effect. Even if the wage limit goes higher, if you making 2,000 guilders for the last 10 years, it's 2,000 guilders times the premium. So that doesn't change. The only time it changes is if your salary increases. And we can understand that government is very hesitant to talk about increasing premiums. And as a matter of fact, I don't deny that that is an issue that is very ticklish, because when you're talking about increasing premium, you are increasing the burden, what we call the tax burden on the citizen, the worker. And maybe you or I can pay a little more, but those persons who are on the minimum wage or just above minimum wage, it becomes a problem. And 2013, what government did in order to help their situation, that they passed on the 2.1% that government had to pay on behalf of the workers. They passed it on to the employees. So the worker, so instead of 2.1%, now they pay, since 2014, they pay 4.2%, which the background on that is that from the time that they were planning to introduce the coverage of family members, it was initially decided that it had to be, the worker had to pay it. But at that time, government felt that it was not prudent at that moment to pass on the full 4.2% to the employee, and decided to only pass half, and that they would pay half, subsidize half.
All right. Yep.
Now government decide, listen, it becoming quite a financial burden for them, so they decided for 2014, 2015, a temporary measure, they would pass it on to the employee.
The whole thing about the SZV is that there's so many people on this island, and I was surprised. The facility where you all are now, it's big. I sometimes wonder how you guys used to get your work done in the small little building you were in. Let me take this call. Come back. Oral Gibbs Live on caller. Hello.
Yes. Good night.
Good night.
SZV have to stop looking at the cheapest place to send the patient. They have to look at quality care. Before we used to go to Puerto Rico, we used to go to Holland and other places. When you go to Colombia, they keep you so long down there. And next thing, they are giving you generic medication, and generic medication do not work for a lot of people.
Okay.
Before they give us the correct medication that works, because I know a lot of people who get generic medication and it doesn't work. So then they have to go and get something stamped to get the original medication, because the generic medication do not work. They have to look at quality care and stop killing the people. Good night.
Good night. So, Mr. Willenberg, people used to go to Puerto Rico before?
Well, before, for ZV, we never used to send people to Puerto Rico. When it comes to the BZV, and they're talking about the government workers, they apparently used to have situation where they could go. But basically, people used to pick up themselves and go, and then afterwards bring the bills to pay. We are not just looking at the cheapest place, because as I stated before, we are looking first at the quality of care, and then we look at the more affordability. And to tell you the truth, we've been with a team to we even been to Panama, we've been to Puerto Rico, we have been to San Domingo, Colombia, Curacao, to assess the quality of care there. And everywhere you go, when it comes to the treatments, specialties and everything, and these facilities, all of them are good.
I have to call on the line. I'm going to ask, just hold it. I'm going to come back on the generic medication. What about the generic medication that the lady mentioned that...
Okay, generic medication, persons have the misconception that generic are not good. Generic just basically mean that the chemical, the working part of the medication that is in the medicine, that is the same. It doesn't matter what name it is. The only difference is that when you have a brand name, you pay a lot more for the same medication.
Right.
And
the same thing.
But for example, if it is determined that the generic there's a medical indication why you cannot use the generic, and the medical indication must be well documented, then you get approval to still get the brand name. So it's not so that you cannot get anything, but then it have to be substantiated with medical proof why you can use generic.
Yeah. Okay. What about a call? It's very short. There are nice, good information. Some information like that is very necessary for the people on the island. One question to Mr. Williams is what about the eye specialist? The situation with the eye specialist, because it's ironic that we don't even have an eye specialist on the outside. And then now we learn that they're not taking the doctor card. So I want to know the information about it.
Who's not taking the doctor card?
Doctor's not franchise.
Hello?
Yeah.
Caller?
Yes, that's another situation that is very worrisome. And but we are, because right now, before, the French eye specialists used to work part-time at the St. Martin Medical Center. As you may know, one of them, Dr. Palas, passed away recently. And based on that, the French specialists that remain decided that they're not going to work at the St. Martin Medical Center anymore. Based on that, they're only working in their clinic in Bellevue. We are busy right now negotiating with them so that we could come to a solution that as long as we don't have specialists on the Dutch side, that we can still continue using the services. We have not signed a contract as yet. We are still busy in the negotiation, and based on that, they decided that as long as the contract is not signed, they are not going to accept that, which is understandable because we can't force them down. But we are busy working on finding a solution, and within a few weeks, I will be coming to the media, informing the public that we have a solution.
What about, he mentioned they're not accepting Dr. Card. Is that the same?
No, that's the same group,
oh, okay,
because we don't have a contract with them as
okay.
yet.
All right.
All circuits are busy.
Yeah, so the whole thing is that, you know, and I hope someday that we will have a resident eye specialist on the Dutch side of St. Martin.
I would hope so also, because it is quite we have been thinking about this thing. I've been talking to different people who was thinking about coming to establish, but with the situation with the St. Martin Center, that they would like to establish there, but then certain conditions that they set, it's not easy for them to come up.
Okay. Oral Gibbs Live, you're on caller. Hello.
Good night.
Night.
I have a question, not for myself, but someone that came to me. If this person, hello?
We're right here listening to you, sir.
Okay, if this person was working at a hotel, but they cannot get they have the residence papers, but they can't get no insurance at the insurance companies because of the age, I assume. Now, they can get a registered form from the census office. Can they apply for pension and at the same time get a doctor card?
Okay. The question I have a question for you. Is the person above 60 and is he still working?
No, he's above 60 but not working anymore.
Not working anymore. Okay. Yes, if the person has applied for old age pension, and that means the person has an income, the person can apply for what we call the 60+ insurance. Anyone that is a 60 or older and has an income, that's a requirement, they must have an income. And they are legally residing on the island, they must have legal residency, they can apply for the old age, for the 60+ insurance, and then they'll get medical insurance.
Okay. Oral Gibbs Live, you're on caller. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on live, caller.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Gibbs. I'd like to ask the gentleman a question.
Go right ahead.
Concerning a patient.
Go ahead.
The pain is B, and you're on a special medication by the name called Comedina. When you go to the drug pharmacy to get some medication, they tell you got to pay for that. I want to know why.
Well, as was stated, one of the questions that the SLV established a generic, our policy is that only generic medication, if there's a generic equal to the brand name, that the generic medication has to be dispensed. Now, if the person does not want the generic, then they would have to pay for the brand name.
Can I put the difference between the generic and the brand?
No, once we pay. So even what you can do, if once you pay for the brand name, you could always come to apply for a reimbursement, and then you will get paid what we would have normally paid for the generic.
Okay. All right. Oral Gibbs Live, and caller. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Oral Gibbs.
Yes.
Mr. Williams was explaining just now, but I assume the company fault. Can he get a doctor card and pension at the same time?
Yes, as I stated before, once he has an income, he's getting a old age pension, he could apply for the 60+ insurance. And then he pays it, the premium that would have to be paid will be deducted automatically by the SLV from his AOV pension. And if he have other income, then we will calculate that also to determine what the premium is going to be. And if it's above the premium comes out more than what is collected in pension, then you would have to pay the difference separately.
Yeah, good night, Oral.
Good night.
Good night, Mr. Whitlenburg.
Good evening, sir.
I have a question to you. First, let me give you my name. My name is Honest Rumu. It seems to me like the base up there, when you go up there, pressures goes by favor. Some people, there are people that go to the doctor and the doctor recommend them to go away, and they could go wherever they want, whether to Santo Domingo or Colombia. But in my case, once I went to the doctor and the doctor sent me recommend me to go to Santo Domingo, and the SZB up there, they have a tall lady. I think she lives Korea somewhere, I don't remember where she lives, and I don't know her name. And she sent me to Caruso. Caruso to have a doctor with long hair.
Mr. Rumo, please, I want to just draw your attention to one thing, please, and don't get angry. I'm very, very limited with time. In other words, I only have 4 minutes remaining right now. So you have to state your question very quick to Mr. Willens-Berg so he can answer you, because time is against us right now.
Okay, go ahead now.
Yeah.
Okay. And I went to Caruso, and they sent me. They sent me to Caruso. The doctor operated me on the back, and it was bad. I went back to them, and they sent me to Santo Domingo to operate again. But the operation was not good. I went back to them, and every time I go to them, they tell me I'm going to have to go to Caruso. And the doctor especially stated on the paper that I have to go to Santo Domingo. And I want to know, they can't send me to Santo Domingo and telling me I must go to Caruso. But everybody else could send to Santo Domingo, Colombia, wherever they want to go.
Okay.
But I can't go nowhere but Caruso.
Let me have Mr. Ram respond to you.
Caruso, I hear suffering with pain. All the time I'm talking to you, I'm suffering with pain.
Okay, Mr. Romo, let me have Mr. Willens-Berg respond to you, because I'm almost all the time, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for calling, Mr. Willens-Berg.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rumo, for the question. First of all, I don't go into individual, public, I don't go into individual cases, because it would not be ethical, although the gentleman brought it up. And I don't know the specific case myself personally, but our basic procedure is, again, we have a step. First of all, we check to see if it can be done here, medical treatment. If it cannot be done here, we then check to the next place that it can be done, which is more affordable, would be or Curacao or Aruba. And if those can't do it, or the waiting period would be too long, way too long and it would not be medically prudent to hold on to it, then we determine if the person can be go or to Colombia or to Santo Domingo.
So in Mr. Romo's case, he can go to Santo Domingo?
As I said, I don't know the specific case, what the case is, but again, I would like to believe that if my medical advisors know the case, that if they advise that the person can go to Curacao to get the medical treatment, that it should be possible. And Mr. Rumo apparently also said that he did go to San Domingo at least once. So, and apparently it's not resolved as yet. But a lot of things have to be taken in consideration before you take that step. And way in the beginning of the program, I stated that a doctor can indicate in principle for what the patient have to be sent away, but and even sometimes can even indicate where he will want the patient to go. But in principle, the ultimate decision, in any case, at this moment, with regards to the policy, it is determined by the SLV where the patient is going to go.
Okay. Well, Mr. Wensberg, I want to thank you for coming in. We're just with other time. All I have is 30 seconds in closing you with that.
I think it's been time, it was well due, and the time that I enjoyed being here talking to you. I don't know if you're going to extend another invitation because
we have you back, don't worry.
From all the calls that we got, it seems that there's a lot of people there who want information, and there's so many new things happening now with the SLV, and that we want to improve the service that we give to our the citizens of St. Martin. I think it would be good that we can continue this conversation.
I want to thank you for coming, and you're welcome. And I hope that we could have you back again because there was a number of things we wanted to speak with you about. We didn't get a chance to. So thanks again, Mr. Wensberg, for coming in, and much success. And I'll see you all next time right here on Oral Gibbs Live. Till then, good night. Take care. Bye.